What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Draft Yoda. We're data driven and prospect focused. I am Draft Yoda himself, Bill Workman, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd. And we're talking about today one of the most fascinating quarterback stories in college football, Miami quarterback Darian Mensah. Currently, I've got Mensah carrying a 9.23 grade in my 10-point scale, making him my number 4 overall quarterback and my number 14 overall player. And honestly, I think Darian Mensah might be the quarterback prospect the NFL scouts appreciate more than the casual fans. Because when people watch quarterbacks, they focus on the arm strength a lot. How far can he throw? How hard can he throw it? How athletic is he? And Mensah isn't going to win many of those conversations. But football isn't just about throwing contests. If it was, then the quarterback Milton from Tennessee, who's with the Cowboys right now, would have been able to write his ticket anywhere he wanted. Kid's got a cannon. Jamarcus Russell, cannon. Not great NFL quarterbacks. It's because football isn't just throwing. It's a quarterback contest, and that's where Darian Mensah becomes incredibly interesting. Okay? Mensah, nobody handed him anything. He wasn't a 5-star. He wasn't a blue chip quarterback. In fact, most recruiting services viewed him as a 2-star prospect. A 2-star. Just pause and think about that for a second. We are sitting here talking about the top of my board, entering into the season as a legitimate Heisman Trophy threat. And he was a 2-star. That's development. That's work ethic. That's a player maximizing every ounce of talent he has. After beginning his career in Tulane, he earned the starting job and immediately showed he could play after redshirting. He had a redshirt year. The next year he showed he could play. Then he transferred to Duke. And that's where a lot of people are going to figure out what his name is. Because nearly 4,000 passing yards, 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, ACC Newcomer of the Year, took them to a conference championship game, Sun Bowl MVP. That's pretty impressive. That's the point where people should have stopped asking, is he good? And they should have started asking, how good can he become? And I think you're going to see this season with the talent of Miami's able to put around him, just how good he can become. The first thing that jumps off of the page, the tape, whatever you want to call it, is his accuracy. It's not good. It's not very good. It is elite accuracy. He consistently puts the football where it needs to be. Whether it's a quick slant, whether it's a deep corner, back shoulder throw, Mensah understands ball placement. And that matters because accuracy translates. One of the smoothest things that translates in the NFL is accuracy. Always has, always will be. The second thing that you're going to love about him is his anticipation. This is one of those underrated quarterback traits in football that not a lot of fans are going to be like, oh, look at that anticipation. But for scouts, for NFL GMs, NFL quarterback coaches, head coaches of football teams, it's a huge difference. Mensah doesn't just throw the ball and when you're open. He throws you open. You can see him processing the route concepts and delivering the ball before the break happens. That's NFL level quarterbacking. That's decision making. And the decision making is something that let's touch on for a second. 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That ratio is incredible, especially how much Duke asked him to throw and who he was throwing to at Duke. You're looking at his number one wide receiver at Duke wouldn't even make the team in Miami. That's the difference in the level of talent he's about to be in. That's not a quarterback managing games. That is a quarterback winning games because of what he's doing. When Darian Mensah is playing his best football, he looks like a coach on the field. Everything is calm. Everything is controlled. Everything is on schedule. The Clemson game last season is a perfect example. 4 touchdown passes on a big stage with a big opponent. And he responded. Every time he was asked to respond, he responded. The spotlight got bigger in the ACC championship game, and he responded. Yeah, they lost that game, but it wasn't because of him. Sun Bowl, he responded to the spotlight of the Sun Bowl. And what did he do? He won the freaking MVP of the bowl game. Because the spotlight got bigger, and he kept delivering. That's not an accident. That is who he is. I honestly believe the move to Miami could be the best thing that's ever happened to Darian Mensah, because for the first time in his career, he's stepping onto a roster loaded with blue chip talent. His supporting cast is better. His offensive talent is better. The recruits around him are just better, and that is important. It's so important because one of the biggest concerns and one of the biggest questions scouts ask is, what happens when the player is surrounded by actual NFL talent? You know, he could have stayed at Duke, and the question would have been coming into the draft, yeah, but what happens when he's got actual NFL receivers? You know what we're going to find out in Miami? What happens when he's got actual NFL wide receivers? Is they got some. What happens when he's got an NFL running back? Guess what? They got one. He's got NFL talent around him in Miami, and that's going to answer that question. They're bringing him in to compete for a national championship. And if he performs the way I think he can, with the talent that's around him, he is in the Heisman conversation all season long. And I'll be quite frank, I have put some doubloons down on young Darian Mensah to win the Heisman because I have that much faith in him and the level of talent that's going to be around him. You know, he has a legitimate path to New York. Think about the ingredients. Transfer quarterback to a major program, big statistical production, national exposure, championship expectations. We've seen this movie before. We have. We've seen it before. The difference is Mensah already has the production coming in. And now he has the platform with his production to absolutely push himself into the Heisman. If Miami wins 10, 11, 12 games, and he throws for over 4,000 yards, you can't tell me he's not in the Heisman conversation. You know, if they are the ACC champions, you can't tell me he's not in the Heisman conversation. Now, I've said it in every single one of these, and I'll continue to say it in every single one. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. You know, he isn't as big as I would like him to be at 205 pounds. It's going to raise a durability question. You know, can he consistently hold up against elite defenses over the full season because he's only 205 pounds? And that's a fair question. One of the other questions that's going to be asked about him is, you know, is his arm strength a concern? It's good. It's not elite. There's throws outside the numbers. where the football loses some life, but it's not a deal breaker because he knows where he can and cannot place the ball, and he's got coaches that are going to put him in the place to succeed. It's not a deal breaker, but it does cap aspects of his projection. Final concern is when you watch the tape, there was a few turnovers that should have been turnovers that weren't. The turnover-worthy plays. There were a few more of them than the interception number suggests. Box score only says 6. Film says something a little bit more different. A little bit different. But, if he cleans it up, it's a lot of the issues of those, turnover-worthy plays were he was pushing the ball, trying to win the game, knowing that it was on him. In Miami, knowing the talent around him, I don't think that's the same issue, but I got to see it before we take it off the board as an issue for him, But he's an accurate, efficient, quick processing, he throws with anticipation. He wins with timing more than overwhelming physical tools. And that is everything in a quarterback that offensive-minded teams are going to look for. Question I'm going to have is the question that needs to be asked is, can he climb higher than QB4? Right now, Mayava is a 0.06 ahead of him at a 9.29 instead of 9.23. And as it stands going into the season, he can't catch him before the season starts. But as the season progresses, can he catch him? Yeah. Mensah can climb. Mensah can definitely climb. Can he hit number 2 or number 1? That's a bigger issue because of the physical limitations. But can he move to QB3? Yeah, 100% he can. He's got one of the clearest paths to climb the board. NFL loves a HEISMAN quarterback. They will move you up the board if you're a HEISMAN quarterback. Just saying. But, that's my grade on Darian Mensah, 9.23 out of 10. Number 14 overall, number 4 quarterback currently, and one of the more polished passers in college football. I think he has legitimate NFL starter potential. I think his accuracy translates immediately. And I think the move to Miami gives him a real opportunity to become one of the biggest risers in this entire draft. He may not have the strongest arm, but you know who else they said didn't have a strong arm? Peyton freaking Manning. 2 Super Bowls, multiple MVPs. Tell me a team wouldn't sign up for that again. Just saying. But that's my board, Do you think Darian Mensah is a future first-round pick? Do you think he can challenge for QB3 with Jaden Mayala? And will the move to Miami put him into a Heisman Trophy conversation like I think it does? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoy these player evaluations that are built around film and analytics, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, because we're going to keep putting in the work. As always, I'm Draft Yoda, Bill Workman, your favorite draft nerd's favorite draft nerd, and we will see you next time.